Welcome to another edition of On Scene with TFD. I'm Mike Bellamy, your host for today's show. The job of a firefighter is one of the most exciting and rewarding careers available today. In addition to fighting fires, they are the community's first responders to all types of rescue emergencies. Today's show will feature a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to train certified firefighters in the state of Florida, and we will discuss how the Tallahassee Fire Department helps make that happen. So let's meet our guests. Captain Troy Anzalone, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And Chief Melvin Stone, thank you as well.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, well, you have a big task training civilians and turning them into firefighters. So before we get into some of those details, Captain Anzalone, tell me a little bit about your assignment at the fire department and what you're doing with the academy.
I currently work as a captain and a paramedic with the Tallahassee Fire Department. I'm assigned to Truck 16 at the newly opened Station 16. I've been an instructor with the Tallahassee Fire Academy since its inception in 2007 and was fortunate enough to move into a leadership role in the last couple of years. So I'm a day-to-day guy there as far as in the classroom and on the drill field.
Okay, Chief Stone, tell me a little bit about your background and what your current role is.
Well, my background goes back approximately 35 plus years. I began my career as a tailboard firefighter in Tampa with the Tampa Fire Department. Eventually working my way up to become fire marshal for the city of Tampa and then receiving an appointment as bureau chief of the Division of State Fire Marshal, Bureau of Fire and Arson Investigation. Subsequently, then I was tasked with the assignment of establishing and starting a fire academy for the Tallahassee Community College, which was quite an undertaking, but I had tremendous support from the likes of Chief E.E. Eunice, Dr. Murdaugh, and a host of other staff. And right now I am assigned with coordinating the day-to-day teaching, assigning tasks, curriculum development, and on and on and on.
Okay, great. Well, it sounds like you both have quite a tremendous background in not only the fire service, but in education and teaching as well. What do you represent? We're talking today about training firefighters. So just jump in, Chief. Tell me about the Tallahassee Community College and the Fire Academy.
Well, I think we do an outstanding job, and it's primarily based on the level of competence that we have in our instructors, such as Captain Anzalone, who serves as one of our lead instructors. And so we're training upwards of 70 plus people per year. 2 classes are offered, one that begins in January and the other in July.
Okay. Now, Troy, are these taught at Tallahassee Community College, or how does Tallahassee Fire Department tie into this?
Well, TCC and the Tallahassee Fire Department developed a cooperative relationship. We have a state-of-the-art facility at TFD. They invested a lot into our training grounds, which consist of both classrooms, a large tower, a burn building, a propane gas field that allows us to work on car fires and some other areas if we want to get into hazardous material mitigation. So anything that the curriculum requires, that facility was already available to meet all those demands. So we meet there at the Tallahassee Fire Department Training Center at 2964 Municipal Way, and we utilize the classroom that both the Tallahassee Fire Department personnel would train during the day. So we're a cooperative agency with them.
Chief, what was it like? You were there, I understand, at the inception of all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
You're the director, right, of this
Yes.
this academy.
Oh, it was
you
quite...
unwrapped it.
Oh, absolutely. Gave birth, as
Gave
we
birth
like
to
to
it,
say.
or it was delivered to you and laid on the door, right?
Yes,
and left.
yes. Well, it was a challenge. We formed an agreement with the city of Tallahassee, specifically the Tallahassee Fire Department, in conjunction with Tallahassee Community College. And we decided that there was a need. When I say we, the city officials, the college decided that we needed to be able to provide firefighter training for the local community. Before our inception, students would have to travel an hour west to Chipola to receive this training. Thus, we lost dollars, monies left our community. Now, individuals who would like to become a firefighter within the city of Tallahassee can train right here at our facility. And so we thank the city for having that foresight and understanding that the need was right here in Tallahassee, because as you well know, Tallahassee Fire Department is the largest employer of firefighters in North Florida.
So when, Captain, when did the standards, and jump into Chief if
Sure.
you know the answer to, when did we talk about the standards when it was required that firefighters go and receive certain amounts of training in different areas?
Well, it started in 1972 to bring a little consistency
Okay.
to the training, because it was uneven, it was all over the place, and some places they weren't being trained at all.
And that's within the state when we look at.
Within the state of Florida,
Okay.
you're right.
And what bureau is oversees that?
They had a qualification bureau that was developed, and the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, basically formed this committee. They oversee a lot of the safety regulations, the equipment mandates, and over the last 40 years, they have just continued to develop the curriculum. These are put together by current and former fire service personnel, so it's a very job-specific type training that is put on paper, and it's then handed down to the agencies to train their folks. So everything is consistent.
How many hours are we talking about when they go and start that program? How long is that program?
Well, the training is 450 hours, but I'd like to expound on what Captain Anzalone mentioned. What started the requirements for certification was determined by a group called the Technical Working Group, where you have professionals who sat in a room and determined exactly how many hours needed to be studied as it pertains to ladders, hoses, etc. And then a certification process was then derived.
And so you had input,
Right.
you had analysis, you had a lot of, there's a lot of thinking and development that went into determining what you need to be presenting to the students.
Right, as of 1972. And subsequent to that, in the last year, the Division of State Fire Marshal has adopted and created a blue ribbon panel to come up with a job task analysis to determine if the hours now meet the needs of our current fire service.
Okay, and the training required for the instructor, I'm sure, was wrapped up in that as well.
Exactly. To be an instructor, you need 6 years of fire service experience, coupled with some classes and then a certification exam.
Okay, fantastic. Anything else you want to add to that, Cap?
No, when we go out, we're trying to look for the folks that are working in our field to be prepared. So when we come in to teach that curriculum, we're looking at, are we staying up to date? Were we meeting the minimum standards? That's what we're looking at with the Tallahassee Fire Academy, minimum standards.
Okay, fantastic. Well, will you both stick around for another shot?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. We'll get into some more of those details in just a minute. All right, don't change that channel. When we come back, more On Scene with TFD.
I am here to save lives.
What happened?
He came from out of nowhere.
When people need help, I respond.
During a crisis, I remain calm.
She's got a head injury.
I am a 911 dispatcher, and you can be one too.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
The Consolidated Dispatch Agency has openings for public safety communications operators. Dispatchers earn nearly $30,000 a year with benefits, receive on-the-job training, and have a flexible schedule. If you want to save lives, visit talgov.com and apply today.
Hey, let me help you with that there, Sparky. Sparky the dog wants to remind you that when you change your clocks, change the battery in your smoke alarms. Speaking of which, when was the last time you tested the battery in your smoke alarm? At least once a month, push the button on your smoke alarm to make sure it's working properly. Remember, test alarms for life.
Hello, I'm Mike Terhune with the Tallahassee Fire Department. Did you know the chance of fires caused by candles greatly increase during the winter months? Please take care when using candles in the home. Keep lit candles out of reach of children and pets. And remember, never leave lit candles unattended in the home. When you go out,
For more life-saving tips, visit the Fire Department's website at talgov.com.
Welcome back to On Scene with TFD. I'm Mike Bellamy, your host, and today's show is all about training firefighters to get them prepared to serve in our community. So welcome back to part 2 of our show, Captain Anzalone. Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you.
And Chief Stone, you're still here as well.
Thank you.
We need you, don't leave yet. So before the break, we were getting into some of the history, some of the need for the standards and what those standards were to put these classes together. Tell us about what the core mission is of the Fire Academy.
Well, the core mission is to augment what the mission of the fire service is. The mission of the fire service in general is to save lives and protect property and the environment from fires and other hazardous situations. So we prepare our students to deal with just that, okay? And it begins by teaching them about integrity, which is the most important ingredient you can have being a firefighter. We teach them that integrity is what you are and who you are when no one's looking, because public trust is something that you don't want to tarnish. So our mission is to prepare and train students and young people, and old if they like, to be prepared to deliver that service of firefighting. And Troy, I'll let you talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, add to that. I like that. That was very well said, because I've taught some out there, and I watch those students develop. And effectively, that's what you're doing. You're developing these students and teaching them about character and what to expect. They're going to spend 30 years, right, in the fire service.
Right, and not only that, but if you don't make it in the fire service, we like to think that our program and our profession, which is steeped in tradition, prepares you to be a better person. So if you never are hired, which we hope not, you are still becoming a better person.
Troy, what would you add to that?
Well, Mike, you know, the fire department, we both work together with the Tallahassee Fire Department. We've been here long enough to respect and understand the tradition. We work in an agency that's bigger than us. So what we're trying to convey, and I speak to the students at the onset of each class, we can train anybody to do these tasks, but your attitude, your work ethic, how you are as a person, we're going into people's homes. We're going and dealing with situations when people are at the worst moment in their life. So if you're not above that, as a public servant, I really want to emphasize to people the good moral character. We're dealing in the fire service with one generation to the next. How do we pass the torch? So it's the behind the scenes that we do as instructors, to talk to people on the side and to say, once you get in there, you haven't arrived. You really need to put yourself through this every week and make yourself a better person. So that is something that we're trying to do, because it is the nature of our business.
And they call it minimum standards. Are they still doing that?
Well, yes, because it is the minimum amount of information that one would need to pass the certification exam.
And in that, yeah, not to interrupt you, but in that same sort of scope of what you both are talking about in terms of having that respect and understanding how big of an opportunity you have, that really is what you are. You're giving them the basic, the minimum, right? You're teaching them to, when they go on, they're going to build on that. And when whatever department they end up in, hopefully Tallahassee, that they understand that they don't know it all, that they've got to open their mind up and take that in. So what else would you add?
Yeah, and I was going to say, Captain Bellamy, you are spot on, because the foundation of the fire service is commitment. I've not met one person that said this was a bad job. And maybe you have.
That's a good point.
I've never met a person said, I hate this job. Everyone loves this job. And I think it's because of our commitment to instilling in them those core values. And what we teach at the Fire Academy is, we call it the cycle of commitment. It's a big cycle. If you're committed to something, then you will prepare. If you prepare, then you will succeed. Once you succeed, then you will have confidence. Once you have that confidence, you don't want to lose it, so then you remain committed. So that cycle is what you need to carry not only in your personal life, but in your professional life. Committed to getting to work on time, committed to supporting the captain. You don't know it all if you have a 4-year degree, and this guy has a GED. He's got 30 years experience. You don't. You know, you're not too good to mop a floor, clean a toilet. These are the type of things that I feel will give a young person a foundation, a base to build upon. And don't take the taxpayer for granted. You know, respect that individual who's paying your salary. There are people who want this job who will never get this job. So if you're fortunate enough to be chosen, then we rely on you to continue that tradition.
Wow, those are good values to teach, and it looks like there's so much more going on out there than just squirting water and loading hose on the fire truck. Well, I know the two of you can't accomplish teaching all of those students that go through the academy. Who is the rest of the team? Are they inside, outside firefighters? Tell us about those folks that help out and teach this class.
Well, the beautiful part about this is that all of our instructors are TFD employees. And I like to say that out of the 8 lead instructors, I've already identified Captain Anzalone, who does an amazing job. He actually is a historical figure. He was the first instructor to teach the first class on the first night.
He doesn't look old enough for that. Are we sure?
17 classes ago.
Uh-oh, now we just called your age out.
It was an honor.
Yeah. There we go.
And he's done a tremendous job, but I would be remiss if I didn't identify Chief Kermit Washington, Captain Jackson Whitehead, Captain Christopher Meeks, retired engineer Iris Carter, Lieutenant Jim Lau, I want to say
retired Lieutenant Billy Fox and
retired Billy Fox,
Captain Jason Greisel.
Yes, sir.
And those are all your instructors, and what's the advantage of having TFD instructors in there teaching our up-and-coming firefighters?
Now, those were our lead instructors. The core group of instructors that we have range from the engineer rank all the way up to the chief rank. We have a current battalion chief, Charles Derry, that's out there. It brings a lot of good history to the academy. Kurt Hindle, and we have just a variety of people, Graham Reed. So these folks have come through the ranks at different times, and we have anybody there literally from 6 years all the way to 25 plus years, some beyond that because they're retired. And that makes, I think, a good diverse set of teaching skills. You're not coming in, I do prepare these students every year to say, you are not going to get the same teaching method from every teacher. You got to be flexible, and all of these folks bring something to the table, which is under that same curriculum.
Okay, and you run 2 classes a year, is that correct?
Right, 2 classes a year, January and July, for approximately 5.5 months.
Okay, and those are at night,
Right.
correct?
Class offering is from 6 to 10 in the evening, Monday through Thursday, and 8 to 5 on every Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to be exact.
Okay, all right, fantastic. And the cost for that is roughly?
Approximately $3,500. That's an all-inclusive cost, which includes your bunker gear, uniforms, books, textbooks, workbooks, the whole 9.
Okay, fantastic.
If I can add something, one good thing about this class is it does cater to the working individual because it's at nighttime and on the weekends. Those that currently have a career that want to make that change, they're able to come in and be trained.
Okay, will you stick around? We got lots more to talk about.
Absolutely.
Okay, don't change that channel. More On Scene with TFD after the break.
Hello, I'm Firefighter Kathy Golke. Having smoke alarms in your home reduces the chances of you dying in a fire nearly in half. Install smoke alarms in your home and test the batteries each spring and fall. For more life-saving tips, visit the fire department's website at talgov.com.
Hello, I'm Captain Leroy James. More fires start in the kitchen than any other place in the home, and cooking fires are our #1 cause of home fire and home fire injuries. Keep a fire extinguisher handy. Don't be afraid to use it. For more life-saving tips, visit the fire department's website at talgov.com.
Welcome back to On Scene with TFD. Thanks for sticking around. Today is an exciting show about how we train our firefighters to become available and skilled to serve in our communities. Captain Troy Anzalone, thank you for sticking around. That's the last time I'm going to have to ask you guys. Thank goodness, right? The Captain, I'm sorry, Chief Stone, thank you for sticking around. We were talking during the break about some of the requirements that you put before the students as they're going through school. And one of those is that they have to document and video and do pictures and present this at their graduation. And what a cool thing. I mean, hats off for doing that, because they're going to really enjoy that as they move on through their career. So but without any further ado, let's take a peek at what that video looks like from one of your recent classes.
Good.
All right? All right, that young man could have a movie career in producing film. That was a fire student that did that?
Yes, it was. That was Mr. Brian Johnson, who was signed as the class historian. As you referenced before the video, we assigned each class a historian to record and document their journey so that at graduation, they can show the transformation to their parents, friends, and families. And so, yes, he did an outstanding job, brought a drone in, had all kinds of gadgets, loved editing, so absolutely, hats off, and who knows, we'll get him at TFD and
That's right.
train him to sit right here one day.
That's right. I'm excited because we're going to get to put that on display, on this show, so that's pretty neat. So, Captain, it's a good segue because we saw a lot of activity out there and some of the hands-on. What are you teaching? What are they doing in school?
So the state curriculum, we have to teach these folks how to know their apparatus. We have hose on there, we have ladders, we have hand tools, we have extrication equipment. We have to teach them how to use all of that. So they're learning how to pull hose off of the apparatus. They're learning how to load the hose back on there. When they deploy ladders, how to put it up to a building properly for rescues, just for actual operations. Tools, we teach them how to tie tools. They will learn hazmat mitigation. Wildland firefighting is placed in this curriculum. We also teach them how to care for the equipment. Vehicle extrications, teaching them how to use the hydraulic jaws of life. So the whole series of equipment and training that we would go through is very job oriented. The proficiency, again, it's at a basic level. They'll build on this once they get on the job. But to follow up, when they go and take the state exam, they are going through a practical examination to demonstrate all of that and taking a written exam as well. That is through a state examiner.
They have a state examiner that comes in from the Fire Bureau.
That's correct.
Right.
And then they are certified. If they pass, they're certified as a Florida certified firefighter. Is it a Firefighter 2, do they call it?
We call it Firefighter, Certified Professional Firefighter.
Okay, and then that will take, that certification will...
Anywhere in the state.
Work anywhere in the state. 67 counties, fire districts, cities, wherever they go, they can take that and move on. And of course, they typically, in most areas, you've got to have your EMT, emergency medical technician as well.
And they get a taste of that at the beginning, first 2 weeks of the class. It's the first responder, which is a very small but overview of the basics of EMT work.
Chief, if we have viewers out there watching, we probably have young kids, we have people looking at another career, we have mom and dads thinking about maybe what their kids are wanting to do. What do they need to know about getting into the academy?
Well, what they need to know is, first and foremost, we touched on it early, integrity. At a very young age, try to avoid decisions that will cost them long term, like getting in trouble, criminal history, etc. But to enroll, you need to be at least 18 years of age, have completed high school or GED equivalent, be in good physical condition as determined by a licensed physician in the state of Florida, and again, no criminal history.
What is the most rewarding part for both of you being out there with the students?
I think just looking at the impact you can have from the onset of their career. They're looking at this with bright eyes, and they're very excited. So you take that enthusiasm and you try to direct them. When you have, like I've seen now, almost a decade of this, and I have current employees that work with me from TFD that came through the Fire Academy. So to walk alongside of them from the very beginning, seeing them get hired and achieve goals, and then get promoted within the fire service, you get to stand beside them. And this is the first time that that's happened here. So to be a part of that is very rewarding, and you get feedback. And it encourages you to continue to be prepared and to go out there and try to make a good impact on people's future. I'm a steward of the positions that I hold, and my job is to continue to learn until I retire and pass the torch. And that's all anybody expects of us.
Chief, why do you do it?
I do it because I just like to see the transformation. I like to see the young people come in and then watch that light come on, and then see the change, and then see the respect, and then the caring. You know, maturity begins when your concern for others outweighs your concern for yourself. And that is the foundation of our business, the fire service. You know?
I ran into a young man in the Panhandle on vacation, and he says, you know, he saw my sticker and my tag on my truck, and he says, do you know Captain Anzalone and Chief Stone? And this young man was in one of your first classes.
Yes.
And he works in the Panhandle, and he just spit the names out, knew them, you know, and just was glowing about the experience that he had. I mean, do you take it personal? Do you really personally get involved in this and feel like these are projects for you, developing these young men and women?
Absolutely. It is, again, it is probably the most important job I could have, and anyone who is involved with the learning process. And so it is just so rewarding to be a part of their lives. And you'll be amazed, they'll bring you questions regarding their personal lives and decision making, you know, and we give them instruction on making good decisions, sound decisions. You know, I talk to the young folks about leaving home upset. When you get older, you don't want to leave your wife at home and you're mad. Say something negative to your kids, because in this profession, something bad may happen. Now, we train against that, and God forbid, but we teach them the respect for others comes first.
Yeah, that's important. They're getting involved in not just a career, but they're getting involved in a family and a passion.
What's important too, Mike, is these instructors that are out there, and I'm going to lift them up because they do get paid to do this, and it is a profession.
Right.
But they are out there, and you can see that they're giving their heart and soul into this, and that matters when somebody is doing it more for than just a salary. And I'm going to say that that's representative of all of our instructors.
Great instructors, the best.
We're going to flash your contact information up so that folks can reach out to you if they want to get involved. And I want to thank both of you for what you do out there training our firefighters, our future heroes, and thanks for being on today's show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Scene with TFD.